Well, let's find out some comment on Mr. Al-Walid's comments, as well as the situation regarding Dubai World, from Mohieddine Kronfol, who is the Managing Director of Asset Management at Algebra Capital. Good day.
Good afternoon.
On this holiday, the 38th anniversary of the United Arab Emirates, a bit of uncertainty here out ahead. What is going to happen? Now, Mr. Al-Walid says that the worst is over. Do you believe it?
It's not a question of worst or better. I think we're just in the beginning of a new era. I mean, ultimately, whether the banks were right or wrong, we had a model that was operating, the implicit guarantee model, that the entire region, not just Dubai, relied on. And this was actually it was a model that suited them well for over 30 years.
And so this model means now that you're talking about more of a private sector then?
Absolutely. I mean, there wasn't much of a private sector, and they had to actually get one started. So you had to have basically companies, that enjoyed the benefits of these implicit guarantees. With this move now on the restructuring of Dubai, we're probably now moving into a new era. And the terms of which and the dynamics of which are going to be obviously laid out in a matter of months or years, really, because for the first time now you're going to start seeing companies actually having to compete for capital. There's going to be tremendous pressure on them to improve their transparency and governance. And we are likely to see a lot more restructuring, I would imagine, as a result of this, because it just, given the resources of both Dubai, its government, and the UAE, this cannot ultimately be just a matter of restructuring 26 billion.
And it's not a matter of UAE just bailing out
No.
Dubai World as they have in the past. What kind of a haircut then are these international banks going to have to take?
Well, I mean, we have to wait for the restructuring to be able to, make that comment. But I think the important message here is that don't expect bailouts in the same way you used to. We are now moving to a new model. So, I mean, the same way Dubai may have been a leader in building, its hard infrastructure, I think right now we're moving into a period where, a lot of attention is going to be on the soft infrastructure. How do you deal with restructurings? How do you deal with the legal infrastructure? How do you deal with creditors? How do you deal with that? Okay. And I think then we can start answering questions about what sort of haircuts, what to expect, and then what's the outcome of this particular restructuring.
But in these talks, they're facing a December 14th deadline. There's
Absolutely.
a $3.5 billion coming due in less than 2 weeks. How much progress do they have to make on those talks between now and then? How much of a fire sale are we going to see of assets?
Probably not. I mean, there's no need to rush into a fire sale at this point. All that's required at this point is to enter into a standstill agreement with creditors so that the process can be orderly and that the restructuring can happen over, a reasonable period of time. That's all that you need to come out of these next few weeks. If, on the other hand, you don't have an agreement or enter into a standstill agreement, they may be under pressure to actually pay this one and then move on to the restructuring later. But at this point in time, given the news that we've had and the markets digested, all we need to do is just, start factoring in an orderly restructuring rather than a chaotic one where you have fire sales, as you mentioned, which I don't really envisage, and I don't think the market really is pricing that in at this stage.
Now, some analysts are saying that some of these past investments made by Dubai World have been even reckless. Do you think that perhaps Abu Dhabi is going to want some conditions or terms if they come and bail out Dubai World again? Will they want more control?
Well, first of all, I think anyone involved in the restructuring, anyone who's putting in new money, would want conditions and would want a good deal. As for investments being reckless, hindsight is 20/20, and if you put things in perspective, what's happened globally, there was a lot of recklessness, if you want, or there was just a lot of miscalculations. I think in the case of Dubai, there was a genuine effort to diversify this economy. There were definitely leaders in this part of the world in trying to, build tourism and build services, and in that sense had a very active, private sector. I mean, relative to GDP, they have the smallest government sector, compared to the rest of the region. So in a lot of ways, Dubai actually still serves as a very important model. I think right now, with this step, they're going to actually have to now make those very difficult, structural adjustments so that we can start dealing with debt and restructurings and other things of that nature.
Very quickly, just in 2 seconds, do you think Dubai can remain, as some people see, the Singapore of the Gulf?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't think that model's been broken at all.
Mohieddine Kronfol, Director of Asset Management at Algebra Capital. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.